In a time where the UFC is dominated by grapplers who shut down strikers, keep control, ground and pound, and look for submissions, JDM and Craig Jones have just shown that you can absolutely... Okay, wait, he lost. But I'm still gonna make this video because JDM's striking style is quite different to some of the elite striking we've seen in the last decade. When I think of the likes of Izzy, Pereira, Conor, I feel like he represents a new wave, as well as Ilia Topuria, on strikers who are boxing dominant. In his run up to his fight with Makhachev, a lot of people really thought that he could actually win this fight. And with the correct game plan, he could have. But I know you just want to see how to actually fight like JDM. So in this video, I'm going to break down his stance, the benefits of it, and the cons. Then I'm going to break down his tactics and style. Starting off with the stance. JDM has a wider, longer boxing stance. This is so that his mechanics for his punches are effective, compared to, let's say, a squared off stance where his center line is showing and he can't leverage his backhand, or extremely bladed wide stance where his backhand is way too far for his style. Now, his right hand is his power hand, but he fights a lot in southpaw, where he lands strong jabs, hand fights. Now, building up from the feet, he holds his hands in a high guard. He prioritizes maintaining safe when fighting in 4-ounce gloves and being defensively sound rather than being elusive with his hands. All his punches often come from a high guard. Think of your Peter Yans or your Mike Tysons or just some Thai fighters. He's not a fast twitch, bouncy fighter. The way he moves in his boxing stance and high guard, he takes little steps where he's eating bits of the cage. Small steps forward when he feels like he can push and pressure, and small steps back. Just getting into his rhythm, feeling his opponent's rhythm, making them miss with slight head movements as well, which his stance allows him to do effectively. Now, if his hands were lower, his head movement would be better and faster because you're taking away weight up near your head and you can slip much more effectively, but he feels as though he doesn't need to make that sacrifice to his defense. Now, as with most wide stances, one problem with them is you're susceptible to the lead calf kick or just the lead leg kick in general. Now, normally, one way to bypass this is to evade or crash. But the problem is, as he's not a fast twitch bouncy fighter and he instead is in his base, he's standing in his base and moving slowly and moving his little steps, he is prone to the calf kick like we saw in the previous fight. So he can't bounce out on calf kicks or from really far bounce in and trade his backhand. So he either has to take the kick or just to check it, or be comfortable in the fact that he's in range to trade his backhand. Now, with the high guard as well, one problem with it, especially when you're moving your head with that high guard, is that you're susceptible to head kicks. We see fighters like Ilia who's been prone to this, and we've seen JDM recently be prone to this. And now once that head kick's in play, that's now another strike that you have to be thinking of. And when you're having to think too much about what could come to you, you're thinking less of what you can throw, and you're already starting to lose your momentum and you're losing the fight psychologically. And your opponent can now start faking head kicks, can fake head kicks to post on you, can fake head kicks into takedowns if they're good enough, can fake the kicks to shift in, and just a plethora of things. Now, a fundamental approach of his style, given that his style is boxing and he's in a boxing stance, is that everything's behind the jab. Most of his combinations start with a jab. When he counters, he likes to counter with the jab, moving his head offline. He likes to disrupt with the jab. He likes to advance with the jab. When he's in southpaw, because his right hand is good and he has good boxing, he still uses a jab effectively, which some southpaws in MMA don't do because they're just stepping into southpaw and they think it's all about the left hand. Now, because he can do it in both stances, he's using one of his nearest weapons in both traffic lanes. And this can just really confuse his opponent during a round where he's going orthodox and southpaw and jabbing from different sides, because the nearest punch is now coming from either side. Now next, what does he do once he's throwing his jab? What's his fundamental? What actually leads him to get these knockouts? Well, it's combination punching. We've seen similarly with Topuria on the podcast talk about how many MMA fighters, they're used to defending, evading the first, second, or maybe even third punch, but the fourth, fifth, or sixth, their hands might drop. They're not used to defending that many shots and they get through. This is why in this style, once they're back up against the fence, they throw their combinations, they're varying their levels, ripping the body, going to the head, or going to the head and then ripping the body. They're doing it at different tempos, they're doing it at different speeds as well. One shot is slow, then the next shot is really strong, then the next shot is power. And if you have good technique and good biomechanics, most people will crumble here, and is where the finishes usually happen. And if it's not the finishes, if someone's on the cage and they're taking shots, the takedown is there, the double leg is there. So here is good technique that ensures you get what you want. You get the knockdowns and the knockouts. Because if you're letting your hands go and you're arm punching, or you're not finding the correct angles, then it basically looks like a beginner on heavy bag. Now, how does he deal with grapplers? How does he deal with people trying to take him down? People who game plan, okay, he throws a lot of jabs, he has a wide stance, I should probably try and go for the shot. I should probably shoot. Well, he does basically a level change like in wrestling, almost like a down block. Oftentimes, you'll see him after a jab, if he doesn't move his head and he's anticipating a shot, he will just level change with a high guard. He will throw a combination and level change with a high guard. You can't get a takedown when you have no access to the hips. He's still being defensively responsible by having his high guard, but he's just combining it with a basic level change which you learn when you start wrestling. Try this with your friend, but get in any stance, yeah, make them level change as low as they want, you know, squat all the way arse to grass, and then try and shoot on them. As long as they have good balance and they're not doing some weird sort of squat, it's going to be very hard to take them down. Now, there are cons to this. When someone does change their level, because it's 4-ounce gloves and there are gaps, they're open to uppercuts and knees, which we did see Islam land on him. So after this video, what should you be doing? So firstly, you need to just work in that stance and just do your basic movements, moving forward, back, left and right in that boxing stance. See if it works for you. If you like it, stick with it. If you like aspects of it, but you don't see yourself using it all the time, okay, then you have something else in your arsenal that you can go to when you need to change something up. And if you really don't like it, well, you should see how to exploit it when you do fight someone like this. When you're shadow boxing, when you're hitting pads and you're on the heavy bag, you need to be working your combinations, getting used to your body throwing 5, 6, 7 shots without getting tired, changing the rhythm on your shots, changing the power levels on your shots, and start working behind the jab more if you don't already. So when you're doing your boxing classes, really making sure you have a snappy jab, a stiff jab, a jab you can flick out, and jabbing with different footwork, whether circling left, right, taking an L step, taking a step back, jabbing after you sprawled and stood up. Have a dynamic jab, one that's not predictable. And then when you're doing your kickboxing, your Muay Thai and your MMA, you should be trying to work behind your jab a bit more, believe in your jab as well. Because even though it sometimes can get predictable, it's one of the closest weapons to your opponent and also the hardest to defend. Because say a calf kick, it takes a little bit more time than a jab, especially if you know how to whip your punches, which you can check out by watching this video. And then you just got to play with that level change defense. Personally, I wouldn't make this my go-to level change, but that's just because the way I fight. But see if it works for you. If you can, whether in your guard, your regular guard, or in a high guard, just level changing every now and then when you're anticipating the shot. And if you like it, you know, stick with it. If not, just leave it in your back pocket for whenever you need it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know any other fighters you want me to break down. Maybe any fighters that are going to fight soon, like Ian Gary or any boxers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.